Hey everybody, my name is Mike Sturdivant and I am the co-founder here at Stark Flavor. And if you missed our little hype up introduction yesterday, we're launching a new podcasty kind of feel. I'm not really a podcaster, but I guess that's kind of what this feels like. Series called the Stark Flavor Stories. And this is going to be a twice a week limited thing that we're going to run over the next few weeks. But what we really wanted to do is just start introducing you to some of the people behind the brands in our community that you may know the brand, but you may not know the people and the stories behind it. But then also hear their stories of how they kind of made it through the last year and kind of what's the hope to come. So this isn't going to be your average typical social media kind of thing that's 5-6 minutes, but it's a lot of great information with a lot of great people. So we hope you take a lot out of it and we hope you tune in. So with that, my first guest on our first episode is your friend, my friend, one of my best friends, Mr. TJ Murphy. TJ, how are you doing today?
Oh man, Mike, I'm fantastic, and thanks for having me on the show. I feel honored that you have me as numero uno. So thanks so much.
You're number one, the firing squad. You're my guinea pig. So TJ is the owner of Kona. We're off to a great start, episode 1. Kona Ice of Central Canton. So if you are not familiar with Kona Ice, you're living under a rock, but it's an awesome concept and excited that you're going to learn about it today. So TJ, before we get into Kona, let's tell people a little bit about yourself, kind of what your background was and what kind of led you to this Kona Ice project.
Yeah, I'll keep it short because it's a long story. I have 3 kiddos, Hudson, Callan, and Odessa. I'm married to an awesome wife, Heather Murphy.
She's a good girl. I met her a few times.
Yeah, she's cool. She keeps me in line. So we owned edible arrangements prior to owning Kona Ice. I had a partner, Kevin Barton, pretty good dude. We ran 3 stores, and it was a lot of fun. I started learning about business and franchising. My uncle, previous to that, had a Signorama, and so I started learning about franchising. And then it was funny. We were talking to another guy down in North Carolina, Kevin Barton and I, and he's like, I'm doing really well with this Kona Ice. He's like, I'm probably doing a little bit better with Kona than I am edible arrangements. And I'm like, that's really interesting. I'm like, it'll never work in Ohio. It's seasonal. It won't work. But long story short, I started looking into it and I fell in love with the brand. Their CEO, Tony Lamb, is completely incredible. And long story short, I'm here. We got 2 trucks, ordered a third. We have a little mini. And we're rolling. So,
and you've owned this now you're going on year 3, right?
So it's year 3, season 4. So we kind of go by seasons because we're a seasonal business, right? Yeah, for the most part.
It has a good ring to it. It's like a TV show, so it's awesome. So tell people a little bit about Kona and what it represents, because obviously they can see you're kind of a food truck style concept, but you do so much more. And really, the one reason I really wanted to have you on here is because your concept is so active in our community, nonprofit, schools, festivals, things like that. So tell people a little bit about what the Kona truck is, and then a little bit about your more than ice concept that you guys represent.
Absolutely. So right behind us is the KEV, the Kona Entertainment Vehicle. Mm-hmm. That's what we call it. But anyhow, we're a fundraising company who happens to sell shaved ice. If you could see right over here, there's our flavor wave. You actually flavor your own Konas. But really, we're a fundraising company, Mike. So, 50% of the business that we do, we're helping schools, youth sports, churches, and nonprofits. We show up to their events, and we give them 25% of the gross profits. That's why, last year when everything happened, not having events, we kind of really had to pivot our business model. But getting back to normal, things seem to be getting back to normal. And so we're back to fundraising about 50% of the time. And then we do private parties, festivals, graduations, birthdays, and stuff like that.
That give back is awesome and vital. So if you're somebody that has a nonprofit event, a school, whatever, and you want an awesome fundraising event, it's a lot of fun. It's that easy. You have TJ come out, he parks the truck, people buy it, he writes you a check. There's no like, that's too good to be true. What's the catch? There's no catch. You get a lot of Osso, and I've eaten way more Konas than I'm proud to admit. 4 seasons, as we're calling it. But it's just fun. And the truck, man, the truck blows my mind. I've worked with
selling point.
things, and it's playing music, and there's bongo music, and it's lit up, and it's just the coolest concept. Like it's like a borderline transformer in food truck form. It's super awesome. So, and you mentioned it. You mentioned the challenges over the last year. You know, that's a big part of what we want these Stark Flavors stories to be, is the story of the past year. And you know, thinking back, you and I both had some crazy stuff happen like right at the same time, career wise, me with my job and you with your franchise. But for the people there, like, what was that like? I guess we're going to call it like the oh shit moment, because there was that like 1 week in March of last year where everything just started going like very quickly. You know, it just escalated very quickly. What was the first moment where you were kind of like, maybe something, you know, you were heading into your busy season. That's the other thing for people to realize. You know, you are a very seasonal business, but you were hyping up. You had bookings, you had events and fundraisers and stuff all summer. What was the oh shit moment when you were kind of like, maybe something crazy is going on here I need to look at?
I can remember, you know, watching the news and then like, it's not going to hit that bad. This will be over in a week. But once it really started to get in there, probably the first week when they're like, hey, we're shutting down schools. Schools are my main fundraiser, and May is usually, it is like the busiest time of year. I have over 120 bookings right now for this month. And so, I was like, oh no. So I said to myself, okay, this will only go through the end of March. And it kept going. If you would have told me at the very beginning when it all happened that, no, your whole calendar is wiped out, I probably would have cried, number one. Number two, I would have told you we wouldn't survive. So I'm so happy it came in little increments that I'm like, all right. So if I could just get through April, all right, then, okay. If I could just get through May, like, oh, it was a big hit. May was a big hit, but then we really adapted our business model, and we did okay. But I don't know, man. I guess there wasn't a really one moment. It was kind of like pushing it off to like praying that it opened back up.
Well, let's talk about some of those pivots, because you got very, very creative in order to kind of weather that storm. So tell people a little bit about some of the shifts that you had to make in order for that truck to still be sitting behind you today and doing this.
Well, the first hurdle is always the health department, right? Are we safe enough, like, to serve people? And so the first thing we did was we shut down the flavor wave, and we flavored everything last year. So that you didn't see the flavor wave. We flavored up in the truck, and so that was it. We got Micro Shield 360 was the very first thing we did, and that just is a spray you put on your truck to all the surfaces. It's antimicrobial. We won't get into the science. Nothing can grow. There's no bacteria or anything, right? So that can grow. So it's the first thing we did, make people feel safe, make sure it was safe. Then we went to this curbside model. We got it was called foodtruckpub.com. A guy out of Pittsburgh has this software that he didn't want to like be at the pub or a brewery and order, like have to go stand at the food truck and order. He wanted to be able to just enjoy his beer and then basically go order online and then just go pick up his food right outside.
That makes sense.
Well, that model, we kind of talked to him, and he built this curbside Kona for us. And basically, it wasn't where we were at one location. We would actually move and make personal stops to houses. So every 15 minutes, I'd be in an area and have to drop off Konas. Our audience was sitting at home. They were on Facebook looking at where we were, and they would just order. So we had a huge May. And it really kind of catapulted us for the rest of the year. So,
and you carried that curbside all summer, man. You were all over the place. It was like the adventures of TJ, and you were in a different neighborhood like every day. It was almost like new age ice cream truck technology. Like that's a weird way to say it, but it was, and people enjoyed it because everybody was in lockdown, right? At that time, it was like there wasn't anywhere to go. Like at least now you could say, okay, we're still going through it, but places are open and places. places weren't open, right? Like there was some restaurants doing some carry out, but you were pretty much like at home, maybe walking around the park, maybe walking
Yep.
around your block. So for those families kind of sitting at home and, school was remote, people were working remote, to just have the truck pull up and as a family go out and grab those Konas. I almost called them shaved ice. I know we don't talk about them here, but it was just such a cool concept. And that's the thing about your company I've learned over the years. You mentioned like how great that organization is.
Yeah.
They have incredible marketing. They pivot quick. I mean, they pivoted so quickly on that whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what you want in a company because you guys did an exceptional job at it. So you made it here, right?
I'm here.
That was that
2021.
battle. You're here. The truck's behind you. You mentioned, hey, it's getting ready to roll out today.
Yep.
But we're not out of the woods yet, right? Everybody's hopeful. The vaccine's out there. Things are starting to slowly feel like they're getting back to normal. Offices are reopening, but we're not out of the woods yet, right? And that's another part of these Stark Flavor stories I want people to understand is I've had so many people go, oh yeah, the restaurants are fine. They've got DoorDash and things are open. It's like, no, that's not the case. There's still a lot of challenges. There's still a lot of people hanging on. So
Right.
one of the challenges you're still facing today as we record this spring of 2021?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges,
Yeah.
but I'm super optimistic about it. Hiring employees has been difficult.
Yeah.
There's a specific person I'm looking for. This isn't just your typical job. You're like representing my brand. You're a brand ambassador. So hiring is difficult. Getting that bubbly personality. The events that's a challenge. You don't know if these events are some of these big events. We don't know if we can gather yet.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here at a real interesting time because I have a big festival, the Alive Festival down in Atwater in July, and we're kind of like, okay, is it half capacity? Is it full capacity? Is it going to happen at all?
Yeah.
Next week, anything can happen in the news. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the best part about it is that we're mobile and we can get to you no matter what, whether you have 800 people or if you have just your family. So we'll survive because we can pivot and we can show up anywhere, really.
Yeah.
So
it's been interesting because you and I are both tied into different nonprofit things for a while. And we're having a few kind of nonprofit people featured here and starting to have those conversations with people about both like being on this and what it's going to look like, and then also on side conversations. The exciting part is everybody's planning. Everybody said we're planning for in-person fundraisers or in-person events or in-person galas or in-person concerts, and that's so exciting. But then they're always like, we hope, so it's like we're so close, but there's still this fear of like maybe, but at least people are planning because this time last year things were starting to cancel and there was so much uncertainty. So it's exciting from the point that the optimism's there. It's just that we're so close, and so what is next for you? That's a good transition. You talked about some of the challenges, but at least what you can say today, because obviously it can always change in a week. It can always change.
Yeah.
In a week, but what's next for TJ and what's next for Kona?
Well, so what I didn't get to tell you earlier was that during everything last year that happened, we did add a second truck. So during this whole thing, we still took a truck because there still is a need out there. So if there's a need during, when the world shut down, there's going to be a need when everything gets back to normal. And so the outlook is to buy additional trucks. Kona is coming up with a coffee brand that you'll see in the next year as well. So we'll have a coffee truck running. That concept is testing through the roof right now down there. That they got a couple pilot trucks, and it's just doing really well. So it's that growing this business, trying to get a manager in place so that I can work on some other stuff in the community. But our goal is always to give back, expand our territory, give back to the schools, nonprofits, churches. This year our goal is $40,000 to give.
Incredible.
And so if we can do that, I think we're on the right path. I live by simple things, like if you give back to the community, it'll come back tenfold. So that's pretty much it, Mike. Like simple business model, but it's just a lot of fun.
So people are watching this. They want to book you for their event. They want to book you for your school.
Yep.
They just want more information about what you offer. How do they get a hold of you? Who do they reach out to get that information? What's the best way?
Yeah, so the easiest way is to fill out an inquiry. Wow, that's hard to say.
I dropped out of
Online.
college, so I don't know if you got that right or not. I'll just go with it.
Go to our website, www.kona-ice.com. You put in your zip code of your event, and then it'll pull up my information. You shoot me an email. Everything goes through email, so it's just the best way to do it. You can definitely call me. You're probably going to get my voicemail. Just ask Mike.
Listen, he's my good friend, and I get his voicemail every time I call. So you don't stand a chance, y'all.
The phone is not my favorite.
He always calls back though, and that's the most important thing.
I do call back, but honestly, it gives you pricing that you can see. I'm not like a salesman, right? Like I just like to let you see the party packages, see what we offer, and then you make the decision. So, also you'll hear our steel drum music coming down your street. I always have business cards in there. So
that's awesome. Well, my friend, thank you so much. Thanks for. Is there anything else you want to add? Let's just throw that out there. Anything else that you want to touch on?
I just really love what you're doing.
Thank you, that. I appreciate it.
I know people already probably know who you are, but you're such a good person. You're so humble, and you're crushing it too, brother. So
that was TJ's speed to be advertised on here. He had to talk highly about me, so in a good way. So he keep like
that box.
Well, social media. Let's throw that out there real quick. You didn't put that. Where they find you, Facebook, Instagram, if that's kind of the route they want.
Oh, good.
It's kind of the route I go when I'm looking for places. So how do they find you on there?
Good call. It's Kona Ice of Central Canton. There's a couple of us. Well, there's a lot of us across the country. There's a couple of us locally. But Kona Ice of Central Canton, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. And
we'll tag you. So we'll make it easy for you guys. So TJ, thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for being our guinea pig here on
Thanks, brother.
episode 1. I greatly appreciate it. Each of you out there, we've got a super awesome episode 2 lined up. I'll just throw the teaser out there. Officer Lamar Sharp will be joining us. That's definitely an episode you don't want to miss. That'll be airing on Friday, and then we're going to have brand new episodes over the next few weeks. Every Tuesday, every Friday, we've got some great small business owners, great nonprofit people, great community officials, potentially some city officials as well tied in. We've got some great guests lined up, and we hope that this is a kind of a segment that you take the time to watch and enjoy, because we think there's some great content. So TJ, thank you so much, my man. And
no problem.
Good luck this summer. Looking forward to coming to a couple events, maybe jumping in the truck. I don't do well on the ice machine. I like to hand them out.
Sounds good.
All right, my friend TJ, thank you so much. And everybody, we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Stark Flavor Stories. I almost said experience. Stories. Thanks, buddy. See you guys.